Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 11 and our member is Nur Muhamad Toha, Sintia Keliolan, and Avenia Widya K. In here, we want to doing presentation about organization of learning materials. Okay, now we are going to the next slide. Material design. Learning a material in language teaching refers to everything that helps students in learning language. It can be presented in the form of print material such as books, magazine, newspaper, internet articles, etc., or audio materials such as songs and audio recordings, and video materials such as film, drama, and more. Even though internet can provide thousands and more sources for ESP teaching and learning process, experts suggested that we need to create our own material. And the next is the purpose of materials in ESP. Materials are used to stimulate and support language instruction, and their design and or adaptation is an important element of ESP teaching practice. The next is, what does the reason that material writing is one of the most characteristic features of ESP in practice? By Hutchinson Waiters, 2010. Materials writing is one of the most characteristic features of ESP in practice. In marked contrast to general English teaching, a large amount of the ESP teacher's time may well be taken up in writing materials. There are a number of reasons for this. A teacher of institution may wish to provide teaching materials that will fit the specific subject area or particular learners. Such materials may not be available commercially. In addition to the provision of subject specialism, there is also a wide range of course types, where areas schools, for example, work to standard timetables with a similar number of hours. ESP course can vary from 1 week. Can carry from 1 week of intensive study to an hour of week for 3 years or more. Publishers are naturally reluctant to produce materials for very limited markets. The cost of producing and marketing a book is much the same regardless of whether it sells 1,000 copies of 100,000 copies. It is likely then a course tailored to the needs of a specific group of ESP learners will not be available. And point B. Even when suitable materials are available, it may not be possible to buy them because of currency of import restrictions. And C. ESP materials might also be written for non-educational reasons. For example, in order to enhance the reputation of an institution or an individual. Materials are visible product of activity, regardless of whether such activity is useful or even necessary. It marks contrast between general English and English as a specific purpose. Different characteristics between ESP students from one field and another define the different needs of learning material. Furthermore, they propose 3 reasons of ESP practitioners need to do the materials design. First, we need to create our own material because there is no available material that fits with our student needs. Second, even the materials are available, like I told you before, there are obstacles in buying them because of the currency of import restriction in some countries. And last, there are some non-educational reasons in designing materials. Reputable institutions tend to create their own materials in order to keep their authority. In chapter, we elaborate how to design a good material for ESP. And the next is principles of designing materials. In order to create a powerful material, we firstly need to decide the purpose of materials. By Hutchinson's Waters 2010 proposed 6 principles of designing material. They are: the first one is materials provide a stimulus for learning. Good materials provide stimulus of learning and encourage students to learn. They should contain interesting texts, enjoyable activities, opportunities for learners to use their existing knowledge and skills, and content that is suitable for the teacher and the learners. And the second is materials help to organize the teaching and learning process. Good materials should help the teaching learning process. They should provide a clear and coherent unit structure which will guide teacher and learner through various activities in such a way as to maximize the chances of learning. The materials must be clear and systematic, but flexible enough to allow for creativity and variety. And the third is materials embody a view of the nature of language and learning. Materials embody a view of the nature of language and learning. They reflect the writer's thinking and feeling about the learning process. And number 4, materials reflect the nature of the learning task. Language learning is a complex process involving different kinds and level of knowledge. The materials should create a balanced outlook, which reflects the complexity of the task and make it appear manageable. And number 5 is materials function to materials can have a very useful function in broadening the basis of teacher training. It is by introducing teachers to new technique. And the last is material provide correct models of appropriate language use. Okay, so the next is material design model. By Hutchinson's Waters 2010 explain 4 elements of materials design: input, content, focus, language focus, and task. This model aims to provide a coherent framework from the integration of various aspects of learning, as well as allowing enough for creativity and variety to flourish. The explanation of the model can be seen from the chart below. Like you see, there is a starter. The first one is the input, and going to the content and language, and the next is task, and the last is project. Okay, let's make it by explanation. We begin to design the material by selecting the input. Input is everything that allows students to learn. It can be presented in the form of text, dialogue, pictures, charts, audio recording, video, and more. Input should stimulate students to learn. Input should consist of non-linguistic content that is suitable with our students. Special field input should also consist of language focus. It should present new language items and correct examples of language use, so that students can succeed in accomplishing the communicative task. The task should be meaningful, that provoke students to activate their background knowledge, to process new information, and this is the ultimate goal of learning. Okay, for the summary of authentic text and activities. The basic principle of ESP material is ESP material should motivate students to learn, allow teachers to use various methodology and techniques, and present the correct use of language. Designing ESP materials is a cycle that includes determining the competence, choosing materials, analyzing materials, trying out the materials, and the last is revising the materials. Okay, I think it is enough the explanation about organization of learning materials. If there is any mistake, forgive our group, and see you, and thanks for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.